Hello students, this is Dr. Anjani from Microbiology Department, Karnataka State Open University. So today we are going to discuss about cells of immune response. So as we know, the immune system is responsible for fighting infection and disease. It is comprised of many specialized cell types, all which work together to keep your body healthy. In this class, you will be introduced to the major cellular pathogens. Hello students, this is Dr. Anjani from Microbiology Department, Karnataka State Open University. So today we are going to study about cells of immune system. So what is immune system? The immune system is responsible for fighting infection and disease. It is comprised of many specialized cell types, as you can see, all which work together to keep your immune system healthy. In this class, you will be introduced to the major cellular players of the immune system. As we have already discussed about two major arms of immune system, one is innate immunity and second one is acquired immunity. You can prefer previous video for innate and acquired immunity, where we have discussed innate immunity is the first line of response. You may recognize some symptoms of innate immunity such as fever and inflammation. About adaptive immunity, where adaptive immunity is specific detection and elimination of pathogens. So in this video especially we are going to focus on different type of immune cells. So all immune cells develop from a single pluripotent cell in the bone marrow. So here you can see the bone marrow where hematopoietic pluripotent stem cell is developed. Hematopoietic stem cell give rise to lymphoid and myeloid progenitor stem cells, and each of which differentiate into a range of immune cells. Here you can see the myeloid progenitor cell differentiate into a number of immune cells, where lymphoid progenitor cell will also develop into 3 type of immune cells. So here we can divide this hematopoietic stem cell into 2 types, lymphoid progenitor and myeloid progenitor cells, where myeloid progenitor cell we can differentiate into phagocyte and granulocyte. Now let's look closely at the lymphoid lineage, where this lymphoid cell can differentiate into 3 subclasses, where first one is B lymphocyte, where B lymphocyte again can divide into 2 types. So number 1 is plasma B cells and second one is memory B cells, where plasma B cells again will give immune cells in the form of antibodies and can produce cytokine to boost the adaptive immune response. Second one is the natural killer cells. What are natural killer cells? They are cytotoxic cells of immune system, and they detect virus infected cells and they can kill the infected cell. Third one is T lymphocyte. With T lymphocyte we can differentiate into 2 subtypes. Number 1 is T helper and second one is T killer cells. Here you can see what are T helper cells. They can get activated and they can secrete cytokines to boost the immune response. What about T killer cells? Cytotoxic T cells, they can recognize antigen and other small pathogen or their parts on infected cell, and they can kill them in the pathogen specific manner. So this is all about T lymphocyte, T helper cell, B cell and natural killer cells. Next, coming to the myeloid progenitor lineage. So in myeloid progenitor lineage we can see these myeloid progenitor cell can differentiate into different subgroups. Number 1 is megakaryocytes, second eosinophil, basophil, erythrocytes, monocytes and neutrophils. So specifically we can divide these cells in a two subgroups. Number one is phagocyte and second one is granulocytes, where granules will be observed in the cell. So what about phagocytes? So generally we include these monocyte into the phagocytic cells. So what are phagocytic cells? That can kill or that can engulf and kill the pathogen. So these monocytes, again, they can travel into the bloodstream and enter into the different tissues and can be matured as a macrophage as well as dendritic cells. So what about monocytes? So generally the size of monocyte is 12 to 15 micrometer, and here you can see the shape of this nucleus is kidney shape, and these are total 2 to 8% of blood leukocytes. What are the functions of these monocytes? They can help in the processing and presenting of antigen. Second one, they can release the cytokines and they can produce cytotoxicity. Next, coming to the macrophages. What are macrophages? As we have discussed, these are monocytes which have migrated into the tissue. So what are the changes in the monocytes that they become macrophages? So generally here you can see the size of this monocyte. After becoming macrophage, it becomes enlarged and it becomes multifold, 5 to 10 folds. Here you can see. And what are the functions differentiate from this macrophage as compared to monocytes? As compared to monocytes, in the macrophage there is an increase in phagocytic ability, and they can produce higher level of hydrolytic enzymes as well as cytokines. So these macrophages can move into different type of tissues and can perform different functions. For example, in lungs, the name of macrophages will be alveolar macrophages, and in liver, these cells are known as Kupffer cells. For example, in bones, we can say these macrophages as a osteoclast. So what are the major functions of these macrophages? So first major function is phagocytosis. Second one is they can present antigen to the different cells, different lymphocytes, for example T cells. Next important function is they can secrete lymphokines such as IL-1, IL-6, IL-12. IL means interleukin 1, interleukin 6 and interleukin 12. The next function is they can secrete granules, monocyte colony stimulating factor, which will help to bring all the immune cells at the site of infection and they can boost the immunity. Next is dendritic cells. What are dendritic cells? These are also a type of monocytes which can migrate into tissue and become dendritic cells. So what do you mean by dendritic cells? This name of these cells is because of these dendrites present on the cells. These dendrites are long needle-like processes. What are the major functions of these cells? They are antigen presenting cells, APC. What is APC? That can process the antigen and present to the T cells to develop the immune response. Next, coming to the granulocytes. So in the myeloid lineage, next is granulocytes. Here we can categorize different type of granulocytes. Number one, neutrophils. So as we know, neutrophils are also known as micropolicemen of the immune cells. Okay, so generally the diameter of these neutrophils is 11 to 14 micrometer. So granules are present, so that's why these are known as granulocytes. So they are normally 50 to 70% of total circulating WBC. Okay, then what about lifespan of these neutrophils? The lifespan is 3 to 4 days for the neutrophils. And one more important point is we can stain these neutrophils via acidic as well as basic dyes. Next granulocyte is eosinophil. What about eosinophil? This is also a granulocyte because granules, you can see the granules are present into the cell. So eosinophils generally they are 11 to 15 micrometer in diameter and they can stain by acidic dye. That means eosin. So what are the functions of these eosinophils? So these cells are phagocytic cells and they can provide allergic inflammation. What next? Next granulocyte is basophils. So what about basophils? These are also granulocytes developed from myeloid lineage, and as the name suggests, basophils, we can stain these cells by basic dyes. Cytoplasm contain large number of basophils, granules containing histamine, serotonin, heparin and other hydrolytic enzymes are present in these cells. What about the function of these basophils? These basophils can provide anaphylactic and atopic allergic reactions. So what we have discussed today? We have discussed about the cells present in the immune system. So as we know, hematopoietic stem cells present in bone marrow can differentiate into two types: myeloid progenitor cell and lymphoid progenitor cell, where lymphoid progenitor cell can again subclassed into three types: T cell, B cell and natural killer cells, where T cell can differentiate into two types. One is helper T cell, second one is cytotoxic T cells. So likewise, B cell can also differentiate into two cells, where first one is memory B cell, second one is plasma B cells. So what is the function of plasma B cells? They can give rise to the production of antibodies. Next is natural killer cells. They are killer cells where they can kill the infected cell infected with the virus infected cell can be killed by natural killer cells. So coming to the myeloid progenitor cell, where we can differentiate, where this myeloid progenitor cells can differentiate into different subgroups. Number one is megakaryocytes, eosinophils, basophils, erythrocytes, monocytes and neutrophils. These monocytes are phagocytic cells and they can travel into the bloodstream and they can move to the tissue, and where they can differentiate into macrophages as well as in dendritic cells. So next is granulocytes, where we have divided this granulocyte into three types: neutrophils, basophils and eosinophils. You can see neutrophils, basophils and eosinophils are granulocytes, where granules are present into the cell. Okay, thank you so much.